Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I am the Reverend Christine Dance, and I am honored to serve as the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix. Welcome to our online worship service. In this time when we are physically distant, we believe it is an act of love and radical inclusion to worship online and be together in this way. Welcome to our worship. Welcome home. For those of you who are joining us for the very first time, welcome. The Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix strives to be a spiritual community for our time, focused on diverse theological perspectives, radical inclusion, and knowing that issues of justice and equity shape everything we do. With a special awareness for those who have been historically marginalized, we welcome all. Of every class, race, ethnicity, immigration status, sexual orientation, gender identity, religious background, mental and physical ability, and disability. We welcome your whole self, your family, however you define it, into our worship as we build a community of caring and courage and hope. Our opening words are from the Reverend Rebecca Savage. We light our flaming chalice as a beloved people, united in love and thirsting for restorative justice. May it melt away the tethers that uphold whiteness in our midst. May it spark in us a spirit of humility. May it ignite in us radical love that transforms our energy into purposeful action. This is a chalice of audacious hope. This chalice shines a light on our shared past, signaling our intention to listen deeply, reflect wisely, and move boldly toward our highest ideals. I invite you to grab a chalice or a candle from your home as we recite our covenant, and my wife Karen lights the chalice in our sanctuary. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to share our strength in fellowship, thus do we covenant.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sam Kirkland, your worship associate today. Let me introduce our worship team. Our music director is Benji Messer. Our director of children's ministry is Katie Resendez. Our Zoom operator today is Bonnie White, and our chat chaplain is Brad Chapman. Our chat is open. You can chat with everyone or just our panelists. Our service is automatically captioned for maximum accessibility. As always, we invite you to check in to UUCP on social media with the hashtag UUAnywhere. Announcements. There is so much to do in our community, which you can find in our Compass newsletter, Compass. You can sign up for Compass at our website, phoenixuu.org. So the UUA General Assembly is the annual meeting of the Unitarian Universalist Association. Attendees worship, witness, learn, connect, and make policies for the association through the democratic process. The 2021 will be held virtually from June 23rd to June 27th. If you would like to be a delegate for UUCP, fill out the form on the website. The link is posted in the chat. There are 2 more slots available, and the deadline is June 1st. We have several board meetings coming up for you to become familiar with the budget and articles of incorporation before the congregational meeting on June 13th. There will be 3 budget meetings within the next 10 days. The dates and times are in the chat and in Compass. And there will be 2 meetings to review the changes in our articles of incorporation, an important document that is filed with the Secretary of State. Meetings will be next Sunday and Monday. Again, information is in the chat and in Compass. Please join us to learn more about the important work of our congregation. All UUCP community members are invited to join this virtual escape room that explores the 8th principle. It sounds intriguing. Participants will be cast as members of an ad hoc committee tasked with figuring out who hacked the congregation's email system to send a cryptic message. During an hour of gameplay, you will solve puzzles, have access to documents, scrutinize slideshows, and even make a phone call to reveal the truth of Project Octave. You have 3 opportunities to join this spectacular adventure. 12:30 today. Today, 12:30, 6 p.m. on Tuesday, June 1st, and 4 p.m. Thursday, June 3rd. And finally, if you haven't seen the pictures of our new parking lot on Facebook, go and check them out. We're finally getting our parking lot repaved with new lighting and new borders. Along with that, we're getting new doors on our garbage area and new double doors on the front entrance of the building and 4 electric vehicle charging stations. Lots of great things happening at the UUCP.
Thanks, Sam. All right. So our opening hymn today, I'm Gonna Lift My Sister Up, is by Fio Rose Teray. She's an African-American activist and judge and songwriter in Alabama. And it reminds us that our fate is bound up with the fate of our neighbors and of all people. Sing with me, lyrics will be in the chat. I'm gonna lift my sister up, she is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my sister up, she is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my sister up, she is not heavy. If I don't lift her up, I will fall down. And my father, my father up, he is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my father up, he is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my father up, he is not heavy. If I don't lift him up, I will fall down. And my neighbor, my neighbor up, he is... Oh, let me start that one again. I'm gonna lift my neighbor up, they are not heavy. I'm gonna lift my neighbor up, they are not heavy. I'm gonna lift my neighbor up, they are not heavy. If I don't lift them up, I will fall down. And I'm gonna lift my people up, they are not heavy. My people, I'm gonna lift my people up, they are not heavy. I'm gonna lift my people up, they are not heavy. If I don't lift them up, if I don't lift them up, one more time. If I don't lift them up, I will fall down. Thanks all. Over to you, Sam.
Our offering is being collected virtually, just like our service. This week is Share the Plate Week, and our recipient is Puente. Puente Human Rights Group, Puente Human Rights Movement is a grassroots human rights organization centered on improving the quality of life for Arizona's most marginalized communities. Their mission is to educate, organize, and empower our communities to unite and build political power in a collective effort to bring about lasting change in our state. They envision a world where all people have the right to good quality of life and are treated with dignity. They have been privileged in their opportunity to assist our community members through various services such as food banks and cultural and spiritual healing sessions, along with legal assistance for DACA, asylum, deportation, and criminal justice cases. They are honored to help our people in any way they can. Though the fees and costs associated with the legal services that they provide are unbudgeted, and can range from hundreds of dollars to thousands depending on the case, the UU's contribution to these applications will make a big difference in the lives of our loved ones and their organization overall. We ask you to be generous in your giving to support the mission of our beloved community. You can text UUCP to 73256. You can donate through the website, or you can send a check. For all that you give to our congregation, we are so grateful. Thank you, Mary. This morning, our service is around the massacre that happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma, 100 years ago this weekend. I didn't learn about this massacre in school. Few of us did. But it is important that we understand what happened and how it is still relevant today. The following is an overview of what happened. This is a video that was made by the Tulsa School District. Gratefully, it is being taught now.
This is not just about killing Black people and destroying their homes and businesses. This is about, removing Black people, expelling Black people. An intentional, deliberate, planned assault on a community. There are very few communities like Greenwood in the country at the time. There were 4 Black millionaires, right, in the Greenwood district in 1921. When you begin to move outward and understand that there were nearly 200 Black-owned businesses in the Greenwood district. And so you can begin to see and understand how Greenwood was a symbol of what was possible. What was happening in the Greenwood district wouldn't be contained within the Greenwood district. These same individuals would be pressing for greater inclusion, political and civil rights. 1917, America enters World War I. There's a huge war mobilization that includes Black men. And part of the reason why Black people enthusiastically join the war effort is there's this belief that if Black people show their patriotism, might be enough to create goodwill or perhaps even lead to the eradication of Jim Crow segregation and other barriers to Black life. And so whites who have ears and can feel this energy bubbling up, they are resistant to this happening. They saw them as trying to change America, change Tulsa to something that they did not agree with. The elevator instance is thought of as the key moment that precipitates a race massacre. Now, we want to be clear that it wasn't the cause. Sarah Page, a young white girl, we believe she was about 17 years old, and Dick Rowland, who we believe was about 19 years old. These individuals came into contact with each other in an elevator in the Drexel building in downtown Tulsa in the early morning hours of May 30th. The elevator may have jostled as Dick Rowland attempts to enter. He trips and he bumps into, or he grabs, Sarah Page. She runs from the elevator in a panic. Dick Rowland runs the other way. That sets off rumors of a rape. That sets off the white community to try to seek vengeance for what occurred. The other theory is that Dick Rowland and Sarah Page had been romantically involved. Perhaps Dick Rowland wanted to end it. Perhaps she wanted to end it, and she runs out. And given interracial marriage was banned, for Sarah Page, at minimum, a kind of shunning and shaming by whites. And for Dick Rowland, it could have led to racial violence. And so with the very public way in which she fled the elevator and other people heard her, some surmise that she told the story to police officers about being attacked by Dick Rowland to sort of hide the relationship. After the elevator incident, he was arrested. As news of what occurred is spreading, and then with the publication of the newspaper article, and the question becomes, what are we going to do? And those murmurs ultimately lead to white Tulsans, by the evening hours, amassing to, lynch Dick Rowland, and calls for handing him over to them began around 8:30, 9 o'clock. When rumors of the lynching begins to come to the attention of A.J. Smitherman, meetings are organized to figure out how are we going to respond. Ultimately, two groups of Black men go downtown armed to offer assistance to the authorities, to say that we as members of this community are not going to allow a mob to lynch a man before he has received a trial. So you have a group of Black men who are going downtown, some of which are veterans, and then you have whites who are coming downtown enraged, incensed of a rape. And so you had a coalescing of a number of factors. The second group of Black men who come downtown, one of the white men in the crowd attempt to disarm them. And in attempting to disarm them, there's a melee that occurs. And in that fracas, a shot is fired. It's a white bystander. Within minutes, this is an all-out gunfight. Black men who come downtown recognize that they are outnumbered, try to make their way back to the Greenwood district. Whites are in pursuit. And so Black men recognize that during the evening hours and the early morning hours, they were able to block the mob from invading the community. But by 5 a.m. on June 1, whites had not only amassed on the southern border, but also along the western border of the community. And not just several hundred whites, we believe there were thousands of whites. We believe between 250 and 500 white civilians, are deputized and told to arrest, detain, and kill, if necessary, Black people who were quote unquote in rebellion. Around 5, what sounded like a whistle blew, and that was a signal to invade the community. The Tulsa Police, Sheriff Department, as well as National Guard participated in this and began to shoot and kill Black people who offered any kind of resistance, or Black people who were fleeing the violence. There were airplanes. They were dropping explosive, some sort of incendiary bomb. There's also recollections of machine gun fire, from multiple places, firing on the community. And in addition to that, whites are going from house to house, searching for Black men or Black people who are armed, who are offering resistance. And what you saw from 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. was literally the total near destruction of a 35-block area that had been home to one of the wealthiest Black communities in the country. After the dust settled and the smoke cleared, white voices in the city began to blame black people for what occurred, and then also at the same time began to say, well, this is an opportunity for us to transform the Greenwood district into a train depot. This wasn't just a massacre. This was an attempted expulsion of the community. And had it not been for one survivor saying, we will not take a pittance for our property, rather than try to pay them for their land, they tried to block them from their land. The intent was to make it very difficult, if not impossible, for Black survivors to rebuild, and not being able to rebuild, they would be forced then to sell their property to the city at a pittance. When you combine sort of this sentiment with what city leadership did days after to try to prevent the rebuilding. The city leadership, as well as white Tulsans, were very clear that they did not want Black Wall Street, the Greenwood District, to be rebuilt. And save for the efforts of B.C. Franklin, the East End Welfare Committee, and just the grit and courageousness of Black survivors, there would be no Greenwood today. 100 years later, no survivor, no descendant has received any restitution from the city or the state of Oklahoma. The only individuals who've received restitution for the violence and destruction that occurred were white business owners whose gun stores were looted by whites who were clamoring to get their hands on a weapon to go into the Greenwood District. And that's something that is deeply felt by the community. And there is a deep-seated belief that the community cannot move forward if reparations and restitution aren't extended. We really need to talk about what occurred as a massacre. And when I say massacre, what I am talking about is a systematic and intentional assault on a civilian community. This is not just about killing Black people and destroying their homes and businesses. This is about, removing Black people, expelling Black people.
Good morning. I'm Katie Resendez, and I'm the Director of Children's Ministries here at UUC Phoenix. Let's take a minute to take a deep breath and find an uncomfortable position. Something a little off balance, a little uncentered from where you normally sit. Something that doesn't feel quite right. Because as we teach ourselves our history and become accountable for it, sometimes we need to lean into the discomfort. And so today I'm asking you to literally make your bodies a little bit uncomfortable. I'm going to tell you the same story twice. Same message, different words. Misha grew up in an amazing city, and moreover, the neighborhood was so cool. Even by the time Misha was 6 or 7 years old, they could walk from Mama's house all the way to Grandpa's house and not have to worry about a thing. People helped them cross the street. There were stores they could pop in. They could stop at the playground. It was safe. It was wonderful and vibrant. And Misha was known by everyone because of an unusual combination of hobbies. Misha loved two things, ballet and basketball. And so everyone knew Misha. There goes Misha, dancing down the street or playing on the basketball court. One day, Misha had been out playing for a while and decided to go into one of the shops just to see what there was. And they had a little money in their pocket. And the best paletas in the whole neighborhood and probably the whole wide world were in Mr. Shaw's store. So Misha walked into Mr. Shaw's store and saw something they'd never seen before. It was a huge display, stacked cans upon each other in this really cool, intricate pyramid pattern, and they were shiny, and their labels were bright, bright green. It was beautiful. But as Misha walked closer, they noticed that they were cans of peas. Misha detested peas. And being a little performative, being a little exuberant, Misha burst into a peas are stinky dance. Peas smell, peas are stinky, I don't like peas. Oh no. The entire display crashed to the ground. It was louder than anything Misha had ever heard before. It was terrifying. Misha ran from the store, ran home. When Misha got home, their parents noticed that something was wrong and asked. And so Misha told the truth. Misha said, I was in Mr. Shaw's store and all the cans crashed down and it was loud and really scary. Misha's parents said, oh, poor thing, we're so sorry. Let me get you something to eat, maybe a little snack. So years went by. Misha didn't go back in the store. Now, to be clear, sometimes if there was someone new to the neighborhood or a new family who needed to go to a shop, Misha would be like, oh, you should go to Mr. Shaw's store. It's amazing. It's wonderful. And when Misha wanted a paleta, he'd talk a friend into going and picking one up for him. Now, what started to happen as Misha got older was that Misha was the one in the family who ran the errands. So the whole family kind of just stopped going to Mr. Shaw's store. Hadn't been in for years. And then there was a day when Misha was walking home from the basketball court and a storm started. It was a bad storm. Thunder, lightning, the rain came down, the street flooded. It was undeniable that it was bad. So Misha ducked into the first door, and it happened to be Mr. Shaw's store. Misha had to take a deep breath. Mr. Shaw was sitting behind the counter. So Misha walked up and said, today's the day, Mr. Shaw. I'm coming in the store. I'm not afraid of you anymore. Mr. Shaw kind of went, you're not afraid of me anymore. And then Misha went on to explain that whole incident back when they were 8 years old, 14 now, about how the cans crashed and how scared it made them, how terrible it was. Mr. Shaw said, yeah, that was pretty bad. Well, Misha said, I know. I've been working all of these years to make it up to you. I tell people about your store all the time. And a few winters, sometimes I shovel the walk for you. And Mr. Shaw says, Misha, do you know I have a snowblower? Misha says, well, I was being nice. Mr. Shaw says, can I just tell you what that day was like for me? Misha thinks about it and is like, well, I was there. I know what it was like. But yeah, I guess if you want to talk, it's still raining out. Mr. Shaw says, well, all of those cans came crashing down. A lot of them broke. I couldn't sell most of them. And I fell that day and I hurt my foot. Oh man, Mr. Shaw, really? That stinks. Sorry to hear that. Is that why you limp sometimes? Yeah, it is. Yeah, that day was pretty bad. But I don't know, bygones are bygones. We're good now, right? Mr. Shaw said, I'd really like you to really hear how it was for me that day. And I have some things to ask from you. You have things to ask from me? I was 8. I mean, I was just dancing around and one hand hit the can. I didn't do it on purpose. It was an accident. Okay. But your one hand is connected to your body. And your body is connected to your brain, right? Yeah? Why are you being so defensive and upset about this? You're right, Misha. Anyway, Mr. Shaw, what do you want? What's the thing you asking me? Well, I'm getting older. My limp is getting worse. And I need help to make those beautiful displays I used to make. I'm wondering if you could come in maybe a few days a week and help out. I'll pay you. Oh, no, Mr. Shaw, I can't. I've got ballet on Monday, basketball on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then all weekend I dance. And I mean, I'm sure it was different when you were a kid, when you used to play basketball, but now it's just pressure. I got to be out there practicing all the time. Sorry, I know you don't get it, but I just really don't have time. They talked for a little bit longer, talked about Misha's siblings, how the neighborhood had been. The storm dissipated. Misha said, okay, I'm going to head home, but I'm glad we're good now. I'll see you later. Mr. Shaw got up from his seat behind the counter, went to the back room of the store, got out the broom, got out the mop, bucket, that bottle of Fabuloso, and washed up the floors from all the mud that Misha had tracked in. Let's tell that story again. Tulsa was an amazing city. There were neighborhoods that were pockets of beautiful culture. There were all sorts of shops. There were places where people mixed and came together and places where people were separate. And everyone knew Richard Lloyd Jones. He ran the newspaper. Everyone truly knew him. And one of the things that he put in the newspaper is something that'll be familiar to UUCP folks. He put out an ad that said, anyone interested in liberal religion is welcome to a meeting at my house. And from that meeting started what is now the biggest UU congregation, Tulsa All Souls. It was pretty amazing. And he had been the child of UU Unitarian missionaries and had a long family history of involvement with our faith tradition, that tradition that we choose and that we claim. In 1921, just as All Souls was getting started, the newspaper published some horrifying headlines. We saw some of them in the video a minute ago about nabbing men, threatening lynchings, calling for retribution, and eventually calling for running people out of town. The headlines were awful, truly terrible. If you ever have a chance to go back and read them, I absolutely suggest you do. It will hurt to read them, and it is a hurt that we need to remember. So, UU's terrible, terrible event in Tulsa. Years pass. We Unitarians join with Universalists. We help with the civil rights movement. We find ourselves invested in so many issues around race. So many of us are proud to donate to Black college funds. We do all these things. And we get to right now, this place in our history where we look around and race relations are bad, undeniably bad. And we can sit down and talk with community members from Tulsa, community members from so many places where we, as Unitarian Universalists, have been harmful to Black communities. And it wasn't just white Unitarian Universalists that hold accountability for this. It's all of us. And we sit down and they say, hey, Richard Lloyd Jones was your guy. We say, but he was one guy. It isn't us. It wasn't me. I wasn't even alive then. It was just this one guy. But this one guy is connected to our congregations, our history, and our heads. And truly to our heads. See, because Richard Lloyd Jones, the guy who had written all of those and approved all of those headlines and also supported the KKK, he, after the Tulsa riots in the 40s, was elected president of the American Unitarian Association. We held on to our guy. He may have just been one hand, but we kept him close. When people have asked that we listen to their stories about what happened in Tulsa, about what happened in other huge, huge damaging race riots, we think, oh, yeah, but we shoveled your driveway a few times. And in this case, shoveled your driveway as we showed up at the marches, we donated, we did all these things. And the people say, yeah, but what we want you to do is listen to our story and pay restitution, pay reparations. Oh, yeah. Well, I know you don't understand it, but when you get more into the income category and sort of the trajectory that our lives are, that money doesn't have a lot of flexibility. I don't have a lot of fluid cash to let go of. And again, it wasn't me. And I just don't have a way to give that money. You wouldn't understand, but once your family gets on its feet, once things pull back together, you'll see what it's like to be over here in this category, and you'll understand that money just doesn't work that way. I can't just give it to you. And we don't always notice that those communities are still limping. We don't even notice that the people in our communities who are affected by it are still limping. So we look at one another. We say, yeah, we're teaching the history. Yeah, we're talking about it once in a while. That was bad. That one guy, he was terrible. But Unitarians and Black communities, we're good now. We put up banners outside our churches. We make sure we do our pieces here and there. We're good now. We have to be careful not to walk out of the store and leave mud everywhere on the floor. We've got work to do. We've got accountability. We need to own that history. And we need to see where we can go next and make sure that it's in service of the people who are harmed the most. Because we are that powerful and we have that much love to give. Have a wonderful week.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Katie, for that incredible, incredible story. And I want to thank you all for being here for this. I know that these are tough times and this is a tough subject, and it's really important that we wrestle with together. So I just want to say thank you for being here and listening. So it is the time now when we share the joys and sorrows with our community. It is good to share, to support each other. So we would love to hear from you. Do you have a graduate? Post something about it. Did you get a ruptured spleen? Post something about it. Did you survive a saber-toothed tiger attack? Post it. Whatever it is, please share with us. Please write any of your joys and sorrows in the chat. Put your name at the beginning. And if you want it to be private, just to be shared with the panelists, put private at the beginning and send it just to the panelists. And while you are entering joys and sorrows, let me mention a few in our world. First, I do want to tell you that Larry Reed has been in the hospital later this week. He had a fall last weekend and is in the hospital. I got a chance to go see him. He is in his very good spirits as always. And I do want to acknowledge the sadness around the mass shooting in San Jose this past Wednesday. 9 people lost their lives in the senseless killing. And while we mourn all loss of life everywhere, we especially mourn people who have died because our country refuses to enact sensible gun legislation. Our thoughts and prayers are not enough. We will continue to drop a stone in the water for each life killed in mass shootings until we as a civilization put an end to this travesty. Join me as I drop 9 stones into our water. Let us share the joys and sorrows from our community. From Nigel, a joy. I got my first vaccine shot. That is indeed a joy, Nigel. Nancy and Dave are back after 3 months in Saipan, welcoming the new grandbaby. It's great to be here in person with you all. Missed you and enjoyed seeing your trip. Stephen and Amy Miskell, our joy is that last Wednesday we celebrated 9 years of wedding bliss, sprinkled with chaos and also peace. Awesome. Bill and Joan say a joy that we are now watching the service from our new living room. Hopefully that means construction is done. Wonderful to hear. From John, John Williamson says, daughter Marianne will move into her new apartment on the property where she works as a leasing manager in North Scottsdale on June 4th and will get a discount. She'll also be able to visit her dog during her lunch hour. That's wonderful. Sorrow from Victoria says, love to Chris Mann and his family as they mourn the loss of his grandmother this past week. Sending love to you, Chris. Rosemary Rosenfant says, joy, just sent the manuscript of 360 Days of Gutsy Women to the formatter. Should go to the publisher in about 3 weeks. That's terrific. Katie Boxley says, today I put on a, please laugh if you must, a bra for the first time in 7.5 weeks. This follows 6 chest tubes, 3 surgeries, bouncing 5 times between 3 hospitals. Thank you all for your your calls, your visits, and letters. Sometimes joys can be measured down to a bra. Thank you, Katie. From Andy, a joy, Rose's birthday is on Tuesday. Happy birthday, Rose. And Karen Kurt says, we celebrated my 64th birthday yesterday, and retirement is 1 day away. Also need prayer support for good health. The oncologist saw what she thinks is more cancer cell growth and is scheduling a biopsy, then revising my treatment plan. Sending you birthday love and good health wishes, Karen. Mary McManus says, a joy, sorrow, a jarro, a soy. Last night was my high school graduation. Though I am overjoyed to have made it this far, it brings me so much sorrow to know that my brother was not there for the ceremony. Every milestone without him never gets easier. Congratulations, Mary, and much love to you. From Owen, we got a new fish and named it Baby Pumpkin, but we still have our other fish, Fauci Jr. So happy fishness. And Jan Kaplan has a sorrow. Please keep my dear friend Meg in your heart as she is losing her battle with cancer. I have been with her and friends in LA all week. It has been a time of grief and joy. Sending love to you and to all of your friends. So I invite you now into a time of meditation and prayer. And I'm going to pull an audible, which means I'm going to change a little bit what we're going to do because we're talking about heavy stuff here. So I would like for you to center yourself. Put your feet on the floor if you wish. Settle in place. Hold on while I get something. I think it's a day for the breathing ball. So I invite you to take some deep breaths. And as you're thinking about the Tulsa Massacre, and as you're thinking about this day, and you think about Katie's story and what reparations and restitution feels like, I just want you to not get totally comfortable, but also to breathe in love and to breathe out peace. Our world needs so much of it. So take a deep breath in, breathe in love, Breathe out peace, love, peace. Take a few moments, breathe, center yourself. Feel how far down into your body that breath can go. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. Just keep breathing. Amen. Blessed be. And Ashe. There's a statue in our congregation's memorial garden of the 4 girls who were killed in 1963 in a white supremacist terrorist bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama. UUCP member Igor Glenn is on a trip through the US South, and he stopped at that church in Birmingham to record this video. I think it's so appropriate for this service. Thank you, Igor.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, we have already come. We've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see.
Love me some Igor Glenn. So appropriate. I have to remember to breathe, Christine. I have to remember to breathe. I would like to thank Jenny Jones for her wonderful PSA last week in support of the UUCP's adoption of the UUA's 8th principle. I am also very much in favor of UUCP adopting this statement of anti-racism. Coming to terms with all the components of American history is difficult and messy. It is a shame that all the folks and people of color that were trod upon to get the US where it is are now perpetual victims because our existence, our drive, our demands for equity, serve as a constant underlying drone to America's shameful mistreatment, hatred, and violence toward people of color. But it is not just our history, it is our current situation as well. The fact that there is a significant segment of our political leadership that would attempt in real time to whitewash this year's insurrection of our government at the urging of a president seems significant enough to set up a perpetual investigative committee. As blatant, unabashed efforts of voter suppression and disenfranchisement swirl about the bowl of our collective democracy, attempting to rig the system yet again, now is our time to look back at the 1921 Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre. One of the bloodiest ones in America's violent history, which I did not learn about in my high school history courses, and I would have really appreciated it. A year after the murder of George Floyd, we are witnessing the collective gaslighting by forces too invested, too privileged, too ignorant, too cowardly to face the myriad of challenges that are on our immediate horizon. These are forces attempting to sanitize our history in real time. In my 64 years of life, this methodology has never really worked, and only, I repeat, only leads to bigger lumps under our collective rug that can only be addressed through our summoning up the collective courage for a semblance of truth, reconciliation, reparations, and garnering the will to be honest with ourselves and stop running from our history and instead learn from it. Let's not be a part of that. Let us be willing to see our history, learn from it, and work to change the history for our future.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Bring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening sky.
Let it resound.
Loud as the rolling sea.
I like this part right here. Come on.
Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on.
Let us march on.
Till victory is won.
Now we add a little something to it. Just to encourage you. We're gonna take you to church later. Let's go.
We'll keep marching right until the victory is won.
To all my brothers out there.
Hold your head up brother, till the victory is won.
To all my sisters in the struggle,
Keep believing, sister, till the victory is won.
till that day.
Till that day comes, let us march on
To victory.
till victory is won.
Whew. How powerful. Black National Anthem. Thank you. Benji, thank you. Sam, for those words. Are you all still breathing? Please tell me you're still breathing. Keep breathing. Breathing love, breathing peace. Because I want to connect some of these things. I want to connect what Sam's saying. I want to connect the story that Katie was telling. I want to connect this piece of history and what happened 100 years ago tomorrow to where we are right now. And within this next few minutes, I'm also going to link together the Tulsa Massacre, the current debate that we're hearing about critical race theory, and the 8th principle that we're going to be voting on June 13th. Hang on and follow me. I promise it's going to all get thread together. I want you to see how much history repeats itself and how we are at a turning point to make a difference. We have to be. The Tulsa Black Wall Street community of Greenwood was an economically self-sustaining, culturally thriving part of town. To be clear, one oppressed population was built at the expense of another. Blacks were offered the chance to build their own cities in Oklahoma after the Civil War by taking away land that belonged to the Native Indigenous people who had already resided there, disregarding many of their already unfair existing treaties. So many layers of oppression in just that one sentence. The success of Greenwood was so threatening to the white people of Tulsa that they came in and destroyed it all 35 city blocks. Imagine 35 city blocks of Phoenix, how big that is. White rioters looted and burned down all of that. Within 24 hours, the National Guard had arrived, and instead of helping those who were attacked, injured, killed, they had imprisoned all Black Tulsans who were not already interned. Over 6,000 people were held at the convention center, some for as long as 8 days. As the city lay in charred ruins, more than 800 people were treated for injuries, and as many as 300 people died. The full number will never be known because the bodies were collected and thrown into a mass grave. This is all so much to hold on to, so much to reckon with. And it was 100 years ago. And for some, that may seem like a long time, but is it really? Is it really? Because many of us have family members that we knew were alive 100 years ago. How many generations ago was 100 years ago for you? It's just 2 generations for me. And yet, if you didn't live in Tulsa, you probably didn't know about the Tulsa Massacre until recently, if at all. Critical race theory has been around for over 50 years. Critical race theory seeks to examine the law as it intersects with issues of race. So critical race theory basically came out and said we need to look at social and cultural and legal issues through the lens of race and racism. It is loosely unified by a couple different themes. First, that white supremacy with its societal or structural racism exists. We agree that it exists, right? And it maintains power through the legal system and other power structures. We see that. We see that through our prison system, through our justice system. We see it in our policing systems. Also, second, that it is possible to transform the relationship between law and racial power, and that it's worth working towards. So this is the second part of it, is that we believe that we can do better. We can transform our systems because racial emancipation and anti-subordination liberates us all. So there it is, critical race theory. 1, racism exists and it works through our structures, and 2, we can do better. Now, the fact that critical race theory, something that was introduced in the 70s, has been accepted as an incontrovertible truth is kind of the underpinning in all of our justice work, and is the lived experience of Black and brown people. It's under attack right now because conservative folks are uncomfortable with it. The fact that it's under attack is not a coincidence. And it's not happening in other places. On Thursday, yes, that was 4 days ago, our Arizona state legislature defeated a bill banning discussion of critical race theory or its principles in schools. Was it defeated because the idea of wiping this idea out is baloney and sets us back in our history half a decade? No, of course not. There's lots of people who want to ban the idea of critical race theory. No, it was defeated because several Republicans believed that it would make our teacher shortage worse, not because it was wrong. The critics of critical race theory have attacked this. First of all, they're still calling it a theory, which makes them want to attack it. And that most of us have accepted as a fact and as a way of life to attack the focus on race in our country. This is not a coincidence that we're seeing it with the uprising of Black and brown people and their white allies after the tragic death of George Floyd just 1 year ago last week. They've seen the protests. They've seen the fact that more and more white people are waking up to the systemic oppression that Black people face, and the fact that our systems, our policing, our justice, our legislative systems are not working equally for our siblings of color. They're scared. They're feeling threatened. They're worrying about changing of the status quo and what might happen if they lose the power that they clearly hold right now. They're saying things like, that was in the past. Why do we have to think about it? Why are we always so negative? Those are the underpinnings of racism. And this is exactly what happened 100 years ago. Black people in Greenwood were rising in power, in wealth, and in influence. And central to this, they knew that this was threatening, and they were willing to stand up for their community and fight. Key to what happened in Greenwood was that our Black folks there were willing to stand up and fight. Although they were outnumbered, they were committed not to back down. Although they had fewer guns, they were still committed. And although not a single penny in damages or restitution was ever given to them, not a single penny, insurance, nothing, they rebuilt their city anyways. So both of these stories, the story of the people of Greenwood who were brutally attacked and who were attempted to be erased, and the story of the uprising after George Floyd's murder, of the folks who rose up to protest and who were arrested and attacked, and there now critical race theory is being banned in schools, they rely on the same thing. White people in power feeling threatened and fighting back, and Black people and their white allies saying, no, we will not forget history and we will not back down. 100 years ago, as our country was at a turning point, we could have looked at this travesty and changed our course. And we, I'm meaning a very, very big we here, but we didn't. Instead, the town of Tulsa immediately, as in like the next day immediately, started blaming the Black folks, tried to erase the town of Greenwood, and never paid the restitution. And then they tried to bury the history so we wouldn't be able to look at it critically and call it what it was. Abhorrent. Now, 100 years ago, we are at another turning point. We can look at the race revolution of 2020 and change our course. Those in power want to make sure that we don't. They imprisoned the protesters, calling them looters and criminals. The cause they are fighting for, which is changing those systems of oppression that are inherent in our laws and our structures, is trying to be erased by banning critical race theory. They are also trying to bury the realities that our siblings are telling us are true. They're trying to tell us their life story. And trying to bury that is also abhorrent. So here we are at the turning point. What are we going to do? Are we going to allow them to sweep our history under the rug? No. Are we going to allow them to convince us that the victims were to blame? No. Are we do harm and not institute? No. Are we going to continue to make people feel uncomfortable by talking about our history, our current realities, our race challenges? Yes. And are we going to hold people accountable for their actions? Yes. We truly hope that the strength and courage of our Black folks, which, just to be clear, has always been there, and the strong reclaiming of their heritage, power, and rights will not result in another massacre. But we need to be realistic that the powerful have never given up their power willingly. It cannot be wished away or convinced away or taken away with logic or asking nicely. It must be claimed strongly over and over again that what is happening is wrong and we won't take it anymore. So this brings it to the 8th principle. In 3 short weeks, this congregation is going to vote on whether fighting racism is central enough to us as a faith community that we are willing to enshrine it as one of our principles, along with respect for the earth, the free search for truth and meaning, and respecting the democratic process, among others. We are asking our congregation to affirm that our collective liberation through the eradication of systems of oppression is central to who we are. So that's my question to you. Is it central to who we are? Is it? Yes, these are just words. No, they will not change everything, but make no mistake, words do matter. And collectively, they matter a lot. In the last 3 years, 61 congregations have adopted the 8th principle, and up to 20 more are adopting it this year through their congregational meetings, including us. And our denomination is looking at all of our principles right now, as they are charged to do every decade or so. Our collective voice on this matter is being noticed within the denomination. In case you think that this racism stuff happens everywhere else and not in our Unitarian Universalist faith, you are mistaken. Some of those who are noticing this talking more about race are white people who do not want our denomination focused on fighting racism. They are resorting to some of the same tactics that our lawmakers are, retelling our history in a new way to blame the victims, looking to ban certain words and concepts like white supremacy, telling lies and mistruths, and even there is a contesting of the upcoming election of our denomination's board to grab some of the power for themselves. Yes, this is in our own beloved Unitarian Universalist denomination. There's not a lot of people, but they are very threatened, and they are very disruptive, and they are very loud, and they are exhausting for those of us who are fighting against racism. And that's what they mean to do. We're spending time fighting them instead of doing the work that we want to be doing outside. It is also abhorrent. This is our moment in history. So do we let history be swept under the rug and let the alternative narrative get traction? Or do we stand up with our words and make our commitment out loud? Our Black siblings who have been fighting for their place in our denomination are urgently asking us to make this statement. This is our opportunity to do so. I do hope that you will vote in favor of adopting the 8th principle at our congregational meeting on June 13th. And this is not me saying that as you need to do this as your minister. This is me asking as a person who is dedicated to this cause, asking you to join me in that and join all of us. 100 years ago, an entire town was decimated because our Black siblings were gaining power and self-determination. This past year, Black people were arrested for protesting about their own protection and self-determination. Today, and each day we draw breath, we have the choice to deny what is happening, demonize the victims, and sweep history under the rug, or to stand on the side of love, liberation, and equality. 100 years ago, the powers that be in Tulsa made the wrong decision. 100 years later, we stand here now at a turning point. We can choose what we want our story to be going forward. I hope and I pray that we choose liberation. I hope we choose equality. I hope and I pray that we choose love. We close with a song about the need to keep telling these stories. Join me in hearing the wonderful voice of Aretha Franklin in a 2009 performance.
I want to dedicate this next song to those of you who don't feel like you're getting any respect and you're having a hard time expressing yourself and getting your point across. This is dedicated to you. Comes from the production Ragtime. Go out and tell the story, let it echo far and wide, and make them hear you. Make them hear you. How justice was our battle and how justice was denied. Make them hear you. Make them hear you. And say for the way we chose to fight, that sometimes there are battles that are more than black and you. I'll be with you. I'll be with you.
I mean, what do I even say after that? Like, how do you top Aretha? Amen. Amen. We do want to invite you to coffee hour after this. The link is in the chat. We're a friendly bunch. Let's come and talk with this more. Sam has some great questions to engage us about this. Even if you've never been to coffee hour, we invite you to join us. And we recognize that history is tragic and it is behind us, but may we use that to acknowledge the dead, the injured, the attempt to obliterate an entire town, an entire people in the city of Tulsa. May we recognize that we are at another turning point, a point where all of us get the opportunity to stand with our siblings of color and affirm that all of us are worthy of self-determination, equality, and liberation. Our words matter. Our actions matter. Our history matters. Our solidarity matters. May history look favorably upon us in this moment. Go in peace. Go in love. And if we couldn't make this message any stronger and you want to stick around for a few more minutes, here's another performance of Make Them Hear You from UUCP's own 28 Cabaret show, sung by our own awesome Sam Kirkland. Blessings to you all.
Go out and tell our story, let it echo far and wide. Make them hear you, make them hear you. How justice was our battle, and how justice was denied. Make them hear